Greetings and welcome to the World Numismatic News as we continue to take a look at variety coins you can look for, this time from the 1930 wheat cent. The 1930 penny primarily concerns itself with repunched mint mark varieties, 3 of which are definitely worth searching for. The first of which comes to us from the Denver Mint and is a D over D repunched mint mark variety where the remaining remnant of the initial D can be seen directly towards the north of the primary D mint mark. This is, of course, the primary identifying feature for the coin. Beyond that, there are also a handful of secondary confirmatory diagnostic markers that you can look out for. However, most of those tend to fade in or out depending on the die state of the coin in question, so they're not really that hard and fast reliable, except for a die scratch on the top of Lincoln's head, just slightly southwest of the W in we. The obverse also appears to have been paired with at least 2 distinct reverse dies. The first reverse develops a die crack along the right wheat stalk in a later die state, and then presumably that reverse must have failed at some point, as it is then replaced with another secondary reverse when the obverse is in a very late die state. In late 2023, a PCGS graded MS64 red example of this variety coin was sold at auction for the sum of $1,080. And then we have a second repunched mint mark variety from the Denver Mint from the same year. The initial mint mark was punched almost directly towards the north of the final placement. However, this time the repunching is not nearly as prominent as in the previous example. On most coins of this variety, there is only a slight remnant of the initial punching just barely above and slightly towards the right of the top serif of the D mint mark. In this case, the auction record is also a little thin on the ground as this coin is slightly harder to come by. But in 2023, a PCGS graded AU50 example of this variety coin was sold at auction for $43. And then lastly, we have another repunched mint mark variety, but this time the coin hails from the San Francisco Mint with an S over S repunched mint mark. And again, much like the previous 2 examples from Denver, here too the initial S mint mark was struck in towards the north of the final position, leaving the top section of the secondary S seen peeking out from behind and to the top of the S mint mark. Notable diagnostic points for this coin includes a die scratch just below the leg of the R in trust, running diagonally almost between the R and the U. It has been suggested that this may have been caused by a feeder finger making contact with the obverse die at some point. On the reverse of the coin, there are also 2 markers to confirm your find. These are 2 very small die chips, one really more of a die bump than anything else. First, towards the top of the T in cent, as indicated here, and then another small dot along the diagonal section of the N in cent, almost where the right vertical bar and the diagonal bar meet on the inside of the letter. In 2023, a PCGS graded MS67 red example of this coveted variety coin was sold at auction for the closing price of $6,000. Subscribe to WNN and activate all notifications with the bell icon so you'll know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.